People often have questions of LGDs, new LGD owners, about what the appropriate place to start them is, what the first part of the new home should look like for a puppy. This is AU. AU is 5 months old. This is day 3. He's met cows just once before, and that is Strawberry the cow taking a look at him. But I thought, since it was fresh in my mind, that I would walk you through the decision making that went into how I managed him for his first 24 hours and a little bit more. So he arrived to the ranch after about a 10-hour car ride. So he got here about midnight, and the car pulled up just on the other side of those vehicles I'm pointing the camera at, and the pup had to come into a lit building because he got here in the dark, and walk into here. I don't know how much of a deal that was for him. He was car sick, and he was tired, and he was, 10 hours is a long time. So we had him on a long line with the front attachment harness. I had the person that had transported him handle him because he was most familiar with her. And we gave him some time. We just gave him time. And as he made his way into the barn, we cuddled him. And when he didn't come towards the barn, we just let him sit and think. So he came in on his own time frame, and he did real well. Took him 5 minutes or so. So he came from behind us through this gate and into this little stall. The stall is 16 by 30, maybe, something like that, stall mats. Across it, it's got a solid wall down there on the end. I'll take the camera in and get a better look at it. He's in the interior of the barn a little bit. There's a pony on that side of him. There are 2 dogs. There was a dog in there. There was a dog in this yard. There were sheep over there. There were 2 dogs there. So he arrived, and he was kept alone in here, but he had lots of comfort around him, a lot of safety around him. I knew he was safe. He had animals to look at, and so the way to build a guardian dog, a confident guardian dog, the most quickly, particularly in terms of transitioning a pup, is to plug them into the job that they're going to do as quickly as possible, because once they figure out what the new real estate is and what the new animals are, they just kind of dial it in and go, oh, okay, that's a job. I know how to do that job. And we're good. So kissy face, sitting with him, lots of time with him is not empowering to him. I want to empower this puppy. So the first thing I did was gave him his own real estate with some nice walls around it, some nice animals around the edges that aren't going to challenge him or threaten him, but are going to be interesting, and they're close enough that he can do nose to nose, and it's a nice soft landing for a pup. So this area, we'll take the camera in, this area would be an appropriate starting size for a pup that's like 12 weeks old and up, including to adult age. A puppy that was younger than that, first of all, shouldn't be rehomed, but if it is, I would give an 8-week-old puppy about half of the space, not the whole thing. It's too much. Out this door is, sorry for carrying the camera, I know that that's awful. Out this door is a small yard. So the pony is on one end of that. The other adult Maremma is on the left side of this. This allowed him to go outside and go to the bathroom, but not get very far away from safety, and then come back in, and there's his solid wall situation. And that's how he spent his first portion of a night, I guess from midnight to about 8 o'clock in the morning. And then when I came out and he looked pretty bright, his transporter was still here, and we set up chairs in here, and we sat and just let him visit with us. And I walked out to get dog food for him and came to that gate and started to walk back in, and the pup got very still, not frozen, but very still and looked a little bit concerned. And so I used some of my new skills. Casey, don't you come in here. And I came into that gate, and instead of coming straight to him, and he was about where the bowl was, I came in and I went over against the wall. And that is a big message to him. That's using space as a reinforcer. So I'm giving him space, which is reinforcing to him because he just let me know that he was concerned about it. The fact that I came in and then I did that connected to his behavior connects the two things. So what he learned is that he can ask me for space and I will hear him and I will give it to him. And a dog that learns that he can say no feels more comfortable about saying yes. So that was a really important first step for me. I learned a cool technique that is called string theory. And Steve Martin is the trainer that came up with that. And what that means is that you spend enough time with an animal that the animal looks back to you for information or seems engaged to you in some way. And that is the first step towards being able to do any training with an animal, is that he notices you, and then that he's interested enough in your presence or what you have or whatever to decide to be engaged. Before you have that, you don't really have an animal's brain, so trying to do any training is ahead of what you should be doing. So we sat in here on our chairs and we just hung out with this puppy. And he got pretty comfortable with us, and so their next step was ready to happen. So I'm going to turn the camera off for a minute and then back on. Forgive me. Come on. So the next thing that happened is this gate got open. And at this point, my assistant and I both were wearing treat pouches with big chicken in them and clickers in hand. We're about to go into a long, narrow field. I don't know if this puppy's going to be frightened by the area that we were going or not. And fear, cortisol, adrenaline, those are really uncomfortable feelings for a dog to have. So he's going to be frightened about things along the way, and that's okay, but I want him to have a short fear memory, not a long one. So with one of us on each end of the field, we could hang out with him, and if he got scared, he couldn't go like from one end all the way to the other in a mad dash of fear. We could step in front of him, interrupt him, get his little brain back, and restart him again. So we were very, very prepared for a scared dog, for anything. What we got was a really easy dog, but you don't want to go in counting on that and wish that you'd been better prepared. I've been down that path, not doing that again. So we'll walk with the camera, and I'll show you what the next part of it looked like. Puppy's walking under my tripod as I try to not drop my camera. Okay, so this is the little narrow alley that we went in next, and the pony is next door, and AU, oh my goodness, he's trying to knock over my camera. Come on here. So this is string theory, or string training. He's following my hand and he's following my body. That means we have just a little bit of relationship built. So we came out here and we walked around with him a little bit, and I watched his body, and his body was tall and loose, kind of like he is now. So that means that this isn't too big an area and it's not too fast. If he came out the door and he looked low and scared, then this would be too soon, and we'd go back in and close that door and wait till the evening or the next morning or whatever he says he's ready. But the pup said he was ready. He pretty much looked like this, didn't you? The pony came out and he said, "Holy moly, that's a pony," and he barked at the pony like he did with the cows. Again, I want to shape behavior. He could stand there and bark at the pony until he decided the pony was okay. I guess that's okay, but it's not okay with me. I want to be able to train with guardrails. I want to be able to create likelihoods of behaviors that I know are good for him. So letting him stand and bark until he's done is not my best option. So pony's there, he's barking at the pony. I walked over to him, come on, play this game, and said, wow, it's a pony. Isn't that the most interesting thing? That's cool. He stopped barking, he looked at me, and then we did this, and we walked off, and that's strain training, and he's following my hand, and he did that the very first day, and he's doing it because we just are starting our relationship. And as provoking as that pony is, my movement, my voice on his side of the fence is pretty interesting. So he was pretty willing to walk away from the pony, and we walked away from the pony and hung out in here until he wasn't, you know, really focused on the pony. And ultimately, within about 10 minutes, I think, he walked over to the pony, and this pony happens to really love the white dogs. So the pony lowered his head, puppy lowered his head, they stood there and touched noses. I believe, yes, I believe in something that I've given a name, training triangle. So here's the deal. You have the dog, behavior, and you. If the dog is doing something that I want to see more of, then I want to be connected to that event. So the fact that he went over and he touched the pony nose, I go over and I tell him how wonderful it is. Now I'm part of the triangle. If a dog is going to be hurt or scared, I won't be part of that triangle. I will do my best to not be engaged in that, and then step in and redirect the pup and be part of the solution. But I don't want him to connect me. That's what happens with shock collars. Shock collar, or no, let's see, let's use a different example. A sheep that's going to lay out a pup, and you yell, look out, pup, and then the pup gets slammed. Well, you just became part of who hurt the pup. So I would look away till the pup, because if I can't stop it, I can't, and then I would say, oh my gosh, the sheep was horrible, that was a terrible thing, and then we would move on. And that's how to build a confident dog, and how to be real clear to the dog that you're part of the solution and not part of his problem. So we spent, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes in this aisle, and he was having a really good time, and he would go all the way to the end. She was in one end, I was in the other, and he went back and forth between us, and he looked all around, and he talked to the dog next door. So all of that means that he's ready for the next step, and I wanted to be able to have an assistant with me for the next step, for the same reason we had it in this narrow field. I'm about to give the puppy things that he's never ever seen in his life, and I want somebody at each end of the field so that he can't get scared and run and be scared for a long time. So you're cute. So he's never been under a tree like he is right now. He doesn't know that gravity works, and this place is a fun place to take puppies for the first time. When I was raising puppies, it was a really fun place for relatively young pups to be. So let's see, I should probably stay in the sun with my camera. So this field is a seasonal creek drainage situation. There's no animals on the far fence line at the time that we put him out here. He doesn't know how to go down a hill. He doesn't know how to come up a hill. He doesn't know. He's walking over rocks. He's walking over branches. He's being exposed to all kinds of things. And while within, from leaving the barn, all within, 20 minutes maybe, something like that. So we positioned ourselves kind of at each end, and as he walked along, we would chatter with him or not, just stay quiet and stay out of it for him. If he paused and he looked like something concerned him a little, one of us would take a few steps or say a word, and he would turn around and look at us and then maybe come and walk with us. So we used our proximity to him and to whatever he was looking at to support his exploration of things. And he did really well. He didn't go all the way end to end super quickly, which makes good sense, but every time he made a pass back and forth through here, he went farther and farther out, and he was always comfortable with it, which is a pretty big deal. It's a pretty nice nice behavior for a pup that just landed here without his litter mates and all that. So we sat here on this bank for about 20 minutes more and watched him explore. And when he would come and check in with him, we'd give him a cuddle. And when he walked away, I would mark and reinforce this behavior, because I want a guardian dog to leave. I want them to go to work. I will always say hi when they come back, but I want to reinforce leaving and working. So he would come and check in, he'd get a cuddle, I'd tell him that's wonderful, and he'd take a step and I'd say yes, and then off he'd go, wagging his tail and back and forth. And that's how we did this. So we were building a relationship as we sat here, increasing our string training with him. And what I wanted was him to be out here long enough that he looked kind of cocky maybe, or a little bored, but I didn't want him to go to sleep out here, because for a pup that is in a new area, to go to sleep there and then wake up and not know where you are, that's my concern. So once he started to look appropriately nappish, which didn't take him very long because he'd had a long night, we went back in the barn and we left this area and took him through here, and I closed this gate right here. So what I left him with for the rest of the day was this long alley that is tied to his barn and stall. So no hill, no way that he can get lost, no way that he can get hurt. The pony's next to him here, the adult dog was next to him here. And this is a good way for him to spend a lot of his first day just kind of processing what's true for the little guy. Huh, wanna come and see me? You're so nice. Hi, what you doing? So he already knows that leaving, we're gonna go do a job. He's not under my feet like he was. He thinks that there's a job. What have you got? A cool thing? What is it? What did you find? Huh? So this is a training triangle. A working Maremma has nose down. He's exploring his environment. You may think he's playing. Well, playing is a very important job. He's exploring. He's got new smells. Oh yes, he's gonna wear them. Isn't that wonderful? That's a very special thing that dogs do, huh? Hi. So I'm being a partner on this property with him. I'm sharing this experience. I'm not trying to tell him what to do, but I'm connecting with him. This kind of training, this passive, I call it being an invisible trainer, just dog doesn't know that we're doing training. I know we're doing training. I know that I have goals here, but there's no leash, there's no, it's molding and shaping rather than being in control. That's a really big difference for a dog. So he spent the day that way. At night, when it became time to feed, because he's been confident all day and he'd been out in and out, and I'm all over the ranch running around, and border collies are running around with me, I came back here and I opened this gate back into the creek area so that he could go out and follow me along the fence line and look at the dogs that are 40 feet away out there. He did not do that. He came out that gate once, went down the creek draw a little bit, decided that was, I don't know what he decided, but he went out and then he came back and he came up in here and he went back in his barn in his stall. So that tells me two things. One, it tells me that he's not brave enough to go exploring on his own quite yet, but also that he has a good thinking mind, because he didn't get lost. He got out there and he had to go around a gate, down a fence line, find a gate opening, find this gate opening, go up here and find his stall. And he just got here. And a pup that doesn't have that kind of confidence and that kind of bait and get like against a gate and panic and sit there and cry and be scared. And he didn't do that. He took care of himself and he put himself to bed. So that was perfect. So that was the end of his first 24 hours. When I ended our day, I closed that, and that's how he spent the night, was with these two areas, and that was our first 24 hours. Huh. So you're looking at this video as I'm doing it right now is morning number 2, I think. So he hasn't been here very long. He doesn't know me very well. He's a tremendous pup, aren't you? You're tremendous, aren't you? What do you think about this pony? Do you like this pony now? You've been talking to him a lot, huh? No? Hi, Pony. Hi. Yeah, good job. Good job. So, there you have the first 24 hours. So, I gave him incremental challenges. I watched his body to make sure that I wasn't doing too much too fast. I created a relationship with him, the string, before I brought him out and gave him any more stimulus than what he had in the stall, because I need that to be able to redirect him. If I don't have some kind of connection with him, then I can't advocate for him as well if he gets scared. So how much space, how long, all those things. You start with a very safe area with minimal stimulus, and then incrementally go out and you read the pup as you go. And every puppy's different. This puppy happens to have had a brilliant start in life. You're brilliant. He's very brave. And that's because the first part of his life was managed really, really well, and it set him up for success, and it's pretty beautiful, pretty beautiful.